program Naked and Afraid. And our guest this afternoon, Sarah Wiley, was a recent, I don't know if the word is contestant, participant in this program. We welcome her to the program this evening, and I just want to make mention of the fact that she has a story appearing in the TIDELAND News, the Swansboro TIDELAND News tomorrow. I'm looking forward to reading that. But also, I understand, Sarah, that this episode, I think is the right term, will be airing Thursday evening. Is that correct? And by the way, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yes, Thursday evening at 9 o'clock on Discovery Channel. On Discovery Channel.
And there's going to be an event somewhere in the area you're going to be attending. Where will this be?
Oh, yeah. I bartend at the Trading Post on Emerald Isle, and they are throwing a premiere party for me that evening. We're going to watch the episode there at 9 o'clock Thursday night.
All right. I'm looking at all the bio on you, Sarah, and this is embarrassing, but I've got to do it anyhow. It's public notice. You're a 35-year-old veterinary technician, bartender, but more importantly, and I've got to ask if this played a role in your program with Naked and Afraid, former active duty Marine, and your husband is a Marine. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Let's talk about this. Why in the world, wait a second, boot camp wasn't tough enough. Tell us about what precipitated this, and I've also got to know, where did it occur? Where was the program filmed? So first, why did you do this? What was behind this?
All right. Well, personally, I don't watch much TV. I haven't had cable in many years. And so while I had heard about the program, I didn't really know a lot about it. A Marine that I had served with gave me a call one day, and he says, "Hey, why don't you apply for this show with me?" He says, "I've already told him you're going to call." He says, "I've already done my interview, and I told him you're going to call." And I said, "Wait, what?" And so he told me, a little more about it, and I was like, "No, man, you're crazy. I don't think I'm really cut out for that." Mm-hmm. And he was like, "No, he says, I served with many people, many years." He says, "And if anyone's cut out for it, it's you." He says, "Just give her a call. She's expecting your call." So I called the number. She did an interview on the spot, called me back the next day, and had someone else interview me. A week later, they called back and wanted to do a video interview. And within a month, they flew me out to L.A. to finish out all the casting, my physicals, all that stuff. And from there, I was told that I had made it and to stand by, that I would be let know when and where I was going with about 2 weeks' notice.
Whoa, just 2 weeks' notice?
Yep.
With that expectation, did you do any kind of preparatory work, any training, anything of this nature?
I did. I studied quite a bit, just books, YouTube videos, just, kind of brushing up on basics.
Of course, you had your own experience as well. Next question, where did you do this event? And I'm curious as to the background on this, but where was the location?
La Milpa, Belize.
Wow.
So the upper parts of Belize. And we were, when people think of Belize, they usually think of, the water. Mm-hmm. We weren't near the water. We were in the jungle, about as far away from the ocean in Belize as you can get.
You're being filmed doing this, and you're out in the wild. What supplies were provided to you? I mean, what you've got to have some tools. So were you given tools to use?
So I was allowed to bring a survival item. My partner was allowed to bring a survival item. And then the production crew chose one survival item for us.
Okay. Can you share?
I personally brought a fire starter. My partner brought a machete. And they gave us a pot to boil water in. Okay.
And then the crew that is filming this, they're clothed, they have access to food and things of this nature. Were you watching them? What's the environment? You're on display. What's it like?
Very much so on display. The crew was only actually there from about 8 in the morning until around 3 in the evening. After that, they went back to the hotel or wherever they stayed. They never ate around us. They never smoked around us. They were very conscientious of, what they did around us.
Okay, so you go to sleep. We're going to find out how you were able to sleep under these circumstances. You got up in the morning. Let's just go through a normal day. Did you make breakfast? What did you do when you...
Well, it's not quite that easy in Belize. You can't really just make breakfast. Usually when we would wake up, it would be a little before the sun comes up because there's monkeys there. There's howler monkeys. Mm-hmm. If you've never heard of a howler monkey, you should really look it up. And you should just, play the noise that they make. If I had to compare it to something, it would be like a death metal band where they just scream, "Arr!"
Wow.
Super, super loud. So that was our alarm clock every morning. Uh-huh. But we wake up to that, sit around, freezing cold at nighttime and in the mornings. And so, we kind of build up our fire and we start to gather firewood before it gets too hot, usually in the mornings.
So
we didn't usually think about food until later in the afternoons.
Sarah Wiley's joining us. She's a bartender. She lives in Hubert. Husband, a Marine. She, a former active duty Marine. Can't say you're an ex-Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Let's talk about the first day when you arrived. What was it like? And by the way, there may be some instances where you can't share information with me because you can't do it until after the fact. So don't hesitate to simply say, can't go there. But what was it like on the first day? I mean...
The first day. So they threw me in a truck and in the back of a truck. And they just said, you're just going to sit back here and ride until we get to our destination. We'll let you know. And so we drive and drive and drive, probably 45 minutes, somewhere around that time frame, just out into the deepest part of the jungle you can imagine. I mean, there's nothing. From the time we leave our lodge, we don't pass anything, nothing except trees and jungle. And, that's it. So you're out there for 45 minutes driving through this, just deeper and deeper into the woods. And finally, they pull over, and the driver yells back something to the tune of, "Okay, Sarah, this is it. Get out." At which point, you're instructed to get out of the truck. You strip your clothes, and you head into the jungle.
Now, in the process, what is the arrangement for any kind of crisis? I mean, you're talking howler monkeys. You're in the wilds. There are dangers there. You have, I'm sure, a few poisonous insects and snakes, and you also have the potential of stepping on things that might do damage. So what's the procedure? Is there a way to seek help, provide assistance?
There is a first aid tent, which is probably, and they actually don't have a tent. They call it a tent, but there's actually no tent there. It's just a clearing. Usually there's one first aid person there that we could get to if we need to, probably under a mile from our camp.
The other question, naked and afraid. We'll get to the fear in a moment. Naked. Do you stay unclothed the whole time, or did you provide some sort of clothing? Did you create something? Obviously, I'm thinking not only for the torso, I'm thinking for the feet, because there are, it's not necessarily a comfortable place to be walking.
Absolutely. So unless you like you were saying, provide the clothing yourself by making it from the stuff you would find out in the jungle, you're 100% naked 100% of the time. And you find that as the days go by and you're spending your time hunting and building shelter and, foraging, just all the different things that you're doing, you find you don't have a whole lot of energy to do extra stuff. And so those things that you thought were important going in really kind of fall to the bottom of the list.
Interesting.
And clothing is one of those things. How
about feet?
So, our feet, they got tore up.
No kidding.
The thorns out there are just insane, like some of them 4 inches long, and they're just everywhere you go. And so we kind of built up our paths. We would walk the same paths.
Okay.
We would learn to walk in each other's footprints. We would learn ways to kind of save our feet, but until I guess I should leave it at that.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it at that. That's fine. Again, Sarah Wiley's joining us, and the caveat to this is the program is going to be aired Thursday evening at 9 o'clock on the Discovery Channel, and it's Naked and Afraid, and Sarah Wiley is, what would you describe yourself? I said participant, a contestant? What's the deal? What do you get out of this, other than,
So you're not a contestant. There's no prize money. This isn't a game show. It's not, a competition. So it is simply you put yourself to the test. You're out there to see what you can do.
What was your husband's opinion of this when you said, sure, I'm going to try this?
He said no.
I can imagine. Now that you've succeeded, what's your opinion of the endeavor?
I'm so glad that I went.
Really?
Whether or not you make it for the 21 days, it's an experience that you never will forget. It's, a sense of accomplishment. And like I said, whether you make it or whether you don't, you have that sense of pride knowing that you went out there and you gave it what you had. And, just the memories and the pride that comes from it, I would totally recommend it to anyone.
I'm guessing you've concluded the 21 days?
I cannot tell you that.
You cannot verify that. Okay,
you'll find out on Thursday for that.
Fine. I'll do that. All right. Now that you've done this, and you've just said that this is worth doing, what kind of preparation is necessary now that you've done it? Did you prepare? Do you feel you prepared adequately, or? My
response would be, if you don't already have some sort of knowledge in the survival, the primitive, the outdoorsy lifestyle, that this isn't something you should take on.
Okay.
It is most definitely for those that have experience and confidence in their skills.
What about situations where, let's take, for example, water. How did you acquire water? Can you provide that information?
Well, sure. I had a fire starter, and they gave us a pot. And so, if you can get fire and you have a pot, you can then boil your water and you have safe drinking water.
Okay. And you were using where was the water coming from?
A river.
Oh, okay. All right. And then the other question, what about various animals? You mentioned howler monkeys. Any encounters? Can you share that with us as well?
So the amount of wildlife out there is just insane.
Right.
There are jaguars, pumas, ocelots, jaguaronde. There's so many. There's 5 wildcats.
Jaguarondes? I've never heard of that.
Jaguaronde. It's a small wildcat.
Okay.
We certainly had a few close encounters when it came to the animals, and I don't want to get too far into that because I do believe, and you'll know I haven't seen the episode.
That's what
I
was
don't
wondering.
get to see it until everyone sees it.
Okay.
So I'm not 100% positive what's going to show.
Okay.
But by the name of the episode and some of the sneak peeks that I've seen, I do believe they're going to show some of our close encounters.
Okay. And of course, I think what I'm going to do is see if we can arrange to talk to you after the program is aired so that you can share with us some of the details as well. The question of survival in that environment, and of course, in essence, what you're telling me then is that you were just looking to be able to eat. At least you weren't in a, you did say to a degree, a hostile environment. The fact that it was cold in the morning, which a lot of people are not anticipating in a jungle environment, but it was very cold. You're looking just to survive. Is that the consuming aspect of it for all 21 days?
So you're looking to survive, but at the same time, you're also looking to thrive. You don't want to just survive. That's kind of the mindset of, I guess, the crazy people that take on this challenge. We don't only want to make it to the end, but we want to make it to the end having done a good job.
Okay. And really quick, what was it? How did you eat? What was the, you cooked your meal, but what did you end up eating when you were there?
So I'm not going to tell you everything, so I don't want to spoil it, but I'll tell you a few things.
Okay.
The nastiest thing I ate was snail. I put it in my mouth. I couldn't chew it up, and I just
a little
spit that
slimy?
right back out. I was done with that. Snail was not for me.
All right. What was the best meal you had?
Nothing out there was delicious, let me tell you that. Everything we ate, my partner would say, delicious, and I'd come back like, not delicious. Nothing out there was delicious. However, I would say the best tasting would be probably the nuts that come off of one of the palm trees. We found that if you put them while still in the shell inside the fire and let them sit for a couple of hours, it would almost be like a roasted nut.
Okay.
And so those had a pretty good flavor.
We'll wrap it up with you this evening. I'm looking forward to future conversations with you. It's Thursday evening. The program will air on the Discovery Channel. When did you do this? How long ago was this?
I left in January for the challenge.
How long did it take you to recover?
When I came back, I was back to work within a week. However, the first couple of days I was back, I did nothing but sleep. I felt like I couldn't function. I couldn't even carry on like a normal conversation because we got so little sleep all night, every night, because of the cold and the noise. Once we got home, it all kind of hit me all at once. And so just the exhaustion was what I had to overcome when I came back. That was the biggest step for me, was the exhaustion.
Okay, one other quick question and wrap it up with you. And I thank you for being with us. Again, Sarah Wiley, and she is one of the stars, we'll use that term, of Naked and Afraid. Will be airing Thursday evening at 9 o'clock. When you got back to civilization, was it a shock?
It was a little bit of a shock. They bring us back to the lodge, and I went in to take a shower, and of course we have only cold water, which was kind of miserable. But, I realized all I had brought was a disposable razor, and it probably wasn't going to cut it after 21 days of, not shaving. And so I didn't even think about it. I walk out into the middle of the commons area at the lodge, and this is open to the public lodge, completely naked.
It didn't.
Just one of those things, that you're like, oh, wait a minute, what did I just do? That was the biggest thing for me. I didn't want to put on clothes.
How about
for the first couple of days afterwards. It was just like, it's what you're used to. Whatever you're used to is what you're used to, and I guess that's what I became used to when I was out there, is having absolutely no clothing on. So.
Interesting. Stay with me. I'm going to chat with you briefly off air. I look forward to another conversation with you. Sarah Wiley joining us this evening. Naked and Afraid, Thursday evening, 9 o'clock on the Discovery Channel. Sarah, thank you very much for doing this. You've been very gracious with your time, and I appreciate this.
Thanks for having me.